Hello, I'm Evan Brand, functional medicine practitioner and nutritional therapist. Today talking with you about SIBO, but also something else that no one really talks about, which is SIFO, small intestinal fungal overgrowth. Now, I've been looking into the literature and combing that for a few weeks before I made this video, and it turns out there was an article in Neurogastroenterology in 2015 that discussed a big study of patients, over 100 of them, that had recurring gut symptoms. Things that just had no explainable cause. The symptoms were belching, bloating, gas, indigestion, diarrhea, and nausea. Symptoms you hear about all the time on the commercials because the conventional big pharmaceutical companies promote drugs to try to manage these symptoms. Of course, that doesn't address the root cause, which is why I'm here to talk to you about it. Now, 26% of their patients in this study had small intestinal fungal overgrowth, and typically we're talking about candida. Now, when you hear candida, most people think it's just one species, but really we've got a whole family of about 20 plus different species. Now, the two most common ones I see in the clinic are going to be Candida albicans and Candida spp. And the spp tends to cause a bit more problems, a bit more trouble, sometimes a bit more gas. But really, any Candida, period, especially if it's overgrown in the small intestine, can create problems. So what you want to do, if you have any of these symptoms and you've not yet done this, you need to get tested. Because if you're not testing, you're guessing. So before we talk about that, we've got to figure out what is the actual root cause. Well, in this study, they talk about a couple of things. One being PPI use, that's the proton pump inhibitors. What these do is they reduce the production of hydrochloric acid from the parietal cells. These parietal cells in the stomach are also damaged by the infection H. pylori. So if you have a bacterial infection like I have myself and many of my clients have had, H. pylori, that actually acts the same way as a PPI in the sense that it reduces stomach acid levels. And when stomach acid levels go low, that's your first defense against infections. So you're going to pick up bacterial overgrowth, you're going to pick up fungal overgrowth, you're going to pick up parasites and more infections, and the immune system drops. Then the gut becomes permeable. Now you've got a leaky gut, or that increased permeability in the intestines, as they call it in the literature, and you've got yourself a recipe for disaster. Now, the second thing here was antibiotic use. We all know antibiotics are passed out like candy. And here's the problem. Even if you just go in for a routine procedure, you may get antibiotics recommended just as a pre- or post-operative care. Now, most people don't run a heavy dose of probiotics with those. And even if they do, that's not always a guarantee that the SIFO or the SIBO or both is not going to happen. So really, we've got to find the root cause. If there is a client or one of your family members or friends listening or watching that has been on a PPI, Zantac, or some other type of proton pump inhibitor, guaranteed they're going to have some issues in the gut. You want to get tested. And I run the GI map, which is a DNA PCR-based stool test. I run it on every new client. That's going to be the best way to identify the species of yeast, the species of bacteria. Even normal bacteria can create a SIBO situation. This doesn't always have to be bad bacteria like Klebsiella or Streptococcus or Staphylococcus. This could be normal bacteria such as E. coli, but it's reached a such high level that it's growing back up into the small intestine, up the stream, if you will. And then lastly, you've got to fix it. So this is where the natural antifungals, the natural antimicrobials come in. I've got several formulas called Microbiome Support 1, 2, and 3. I've got a formula called GI Pro. I've got an oregano oil, a garlic formula. I use all of these in conjunction together. Now, not always all of them are mixed, but I run and cycle through all these herbs for typically about 6 or 8 weeks, depending on the person's symptoms, depending on how high the inflammation is, and that's measured on the GI map marker called calprotectin. That's how we create our protocol. We fix it, and then we always work backwards, making sure that we found the root cause. Because if you just test it and then fix, and then you come in and you do a treatment with a doctor or a functional medicine practitioner like myself, and you haven't found the root, what happens? Well, you just start back at square one with this problem again. So I hope this was helpful. This is Evan Brand signing out. If you would like help, you can click on screen and you can contact my office. I look forward to helping you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.